And a good Monday afternoon to you. Welcome on in to Lunch with Claibs and Joe. Today it's Lunch with Jay and Joe. As you see, that's not Mike Claiborne. That's Jay Randolph Jr. sitting in for Claibs today, who is on his way down to Florida. Jennings, hello. How are you?
I wish I was Claibs after seeing that great open and the great pictures and one of my favorite people, Mike Claiborne, heading down to do his thing in Florida, get everybody ready for spring training. I'm doing good, Joe. How you living?
I'm doing all right. Getting ready to also head to some warm places here in a few weeks, and as you know too, I got the Rumble coming to town in 2 weeks too. So you know I'm excited for that. Same with your boy, Dave.
What is your running situation for 2022?
I have so right now I'm signed up to run a half in Huntington Beach, California, the day before I head up to LA for the Super Bowl. So that's the plan right now. I'm flying out a day early and going to do that and knock another state off the list.
Good for you.
I got a few others that I'm going to be signing up for, and I'm slowly trying to plan around. One that just came on the calendar. I've been waiting for the date on it. I'm going to do one in Logan, Utah in August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my dad
a half or a full?
A half up there. The only full that I'm hoping to do next year is the New York City Marathon. So
Gotta do it.
That's the one in I think it's in November. They haven't started signups and all that for that one yet, but that is on the calendar, and I think that's a lottery situation, the same as Chicago was last year. So
cool.
I
think it's awesome you're doing it.
Thank you very much. And you, are we coming to you, or is this the Sullivan Studios?
This is the Sullivan Studios. I'm in Sullivan, Missouri, where I am the head cheese at Sullivan Golf Course. A fun 18-hole golf course, a great value. We're about 45 minutes from 44 and 141. And we've been getting a lot of people coming down from the St. Louis area. It's not a hard golf course, but you got to know your way around. It's not a long golf course, but nobody seems to tear it up. And Joe, they put new fairways in the year before I came in. They seeded them, and they really popped last year. So people have been raving about the condition of the golf course. And if you get a day this spring or summer where you can get away, come down and play.
As it's supposed to be almost 50 tomorrow. You expecting people to be out there?
There would be people playing. I'm afraid with we had a little more than a dusting. We had 2 or 3 inches. So I would think the golf course probably be too wet to play tomorrow. And then they're talking about it turning cold again. I don't know if you know this. I hate winter golfer. I don't understand it. I can understand playing at 35. But I can't understand 32 or below. To me, that's just hitting a white ball somewhere in the cold. That is not golf.
This is Lunch with Claibs and Joe here on ClaibsOnline.com, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura, and also sponsored by our guy, Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. Find him online at thehomeloanexpert.com. We will get into the NFL games from this past weekend, 5 of them on Saturday and Sunday. One more tonight on ESPN, Monday Night Football, playoff football for the first time ever. But I do want to quickly touch on the Blues. They had a very good week up until they fell a little short this weekend. But tonight, Chris Pronger's number 44 goes up into the to the rafters and will be retired forever. Any stories of Pronger from his days as a player? I know that's when you were big into the St. Louis sports scene.
Well, I think the thing about Chris Pronger is a lot of times he just seemed kind of aloof, and you couldn't get a sense. He was so young too, Joe. But when you look at what Chris has done career-wise, hockey-wise, and then in a sense what he's done afterward, following the tradition of so many Blues, staying in our area, being part of the community, being part of charities, and being a major part of the St. Louis sports scene. I think it's great. He was a physical presence that you could just see on the ice, and then he lived up to it. So congratulations to Chris Pronger. And, I've been following the Blues a little bit. They just seem to keep winning despite adversity and injuries, and it looks like they're going to have a decent chance this year come the postseason if if everything goes right. As you know, in hockey, you got to be healthy. You got to be right. Everybody's got to be kind of on the same page. And it's tough right now with all the protocols and stuff like that. But I give the Blues mad credit for, hanging through all of it.
The rosters for tonight, I saw Jim Thomas tweeting out Logan Brown is in the lineup tonight. Petrovic still not happy or still not able to come back. JT says he wasn't happy coming off the ice today. Looks like he tried to give it a go for tonight's game, and it just isn't going to happen. If you missed it last week, Claibs had Kevin Weeks on from the NHL Network and ESPN talking about the Blues' chances here in the second half of the season. And just to kind of echo some of the things he was saying last week, if you look at all of the injuries, or not even so much injuries, all the games missed by players, as you mentioned, from COVID and injuries, for them to still be in the situation that they're in and to kind of look at that roster too and have to make some changes, not sure who should dress every night, and not because you're not sure who's good enough, because you have too many to dress every night. It's a good problem to have for the Blues right now, that he really thinks that they're contenders to go deep into the playoffs. That's up right now on the Claibs Online YouTube page. You can go back and watch it or check it out on the podcast pages as well. So that is that's tonight against the Nashville Predators. 6:00 is when all of the festivities will start to honor Chris Pronger and look back at his career before they put the 44 up into the rafters. We are going to jump into some of the NFL talk, and we will do all of that right after this Ameren Minute.
The pandemic has been the ultimate game changer for many companies, and Ameren, Illinois is no exception. President and Chairman Richard Mark tells us how they've worked with their customers who may have been harshly impacted by COVID.
The pandemic has really caused some unprecedented changes and challenges for all industries. And, for us, since we provide that vital service, we understand customers have to have it. And so with the pandemic, many people were out of work, didn't know when they were going back to work. So some of the things that we tried to do was say, how do we help those customers along? How do we provide some money to make it available if they couldn't pay their bill? How could we maybe suspend late fees and late payments and those types of things? So what we try to do is work with our customers. We provided last year over $26 million in billing assistance for customers to help. And basically, if the customers couldn't pay, we didn't cut anyone off and tried to just understand what was going on in the communities. And I think that's really the real core and the basis of what we try to do.
Back here at lunch with Claibs and Joe here on ClaibsOnline.com. The NFL first round of the playoffs. Jay, it was called Super Wild Card Weekend this weekend. No longer just Wild Card Weekend. Now it's Super Wild Card Weekend with 6 games between Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
I was trying to explain to my son the difference in playoff football now and how it's spread out, and the fact you're going to have a Monday night game. I mean, for a football fan, while you may not have gotten necessarily a lot of close games so far, if you're a football fan, it's certainly been fun to watch. I've tuned into at least a little part of all of them. Watched pretty much the whole shebang yesterday. But I think, when you I looked at the bracket before we started the program today. I mean, I just think the collision course is kind of set. The Bills, I think, maybe have an outside shot to beat Kansas City, but I don't think the Bengals are beating Tennessee. I think the road to the Super Bowl goes through Tennessee. I think it'll probably be Kansas City. As much as I loved what the 49ers did, and they probably should have won that game by much more, it just changed. I mean, how are the 49ers going to go into Green Bay, Wisconsin on the third week of January and beat the Pack? And then tonight's game, it will be interesting between Arizona and the Rams. But are one of those teams going down to Tampa and beating Brady?
Right. By the way, I got to imagine it was probably more difficult explaining a Monday night playoff game to Senior than it would have been to explain the playoffs as a whole to your son.
No, he's been confused about. I mean, he gets confused about a Billiken game. So, where is this? What is this? What is ESPN Plus? Do I have it? I mean, I tried to get him an iPad, and it just didn't work. The iPad worked. The user didn't work.
Yeah, but so looking at the Saturday games, I was locked into those Saturday games. The two yesterday, the Buccaneers-Eagles game and the Steelers-Kansas City game, I might have watched 20, 30 minutes of each of those because I knew going into it how they were going to go.
Here's the thing about the Pittsburgh game. I thought for a moment with the mistakes that Kansas City was making, even though you could clearly see that the Pittsburgh Steelers could barely figure out how to move the football. I just got a sense early that maybe if they could hang around, but class proved out, and you're right, it turned out to be a whitewash.
I kind of felt like that was a game where, when you see Alabama playing one of those, the schools that pay to play them. Yeah, where they're not going to show the entire playbook.
Right.
Just they're going to go out there. They're going to have fun. I mean, Travis Kelce's out there throwing touchdown passes,
doing the flick and running. They're doing whatever they want to do. Look like the Globetrotters.
Right, and because they knew that the following week they were going to have a tougher opponent in the Bills, and they were going to have to get a little serious about it. So they had a little fun last night, and that probably would have been the case against any of those final AFC teams that got in. Whether if the Colts wouldn't have screwed around and messed up and gotten out of there, if the Dolphins wouldn't have started 1-7, they could have been there. It's just that seventh team in the AFC was always going to get crushed by Kansas City. The only shot they would have had is if Kansas City would have had the 1 seed and they would have faced a team like the Titans.
Right.
Coming, because next week, you say that you don't see the Bengals having any shot against the Titans.
You do.
I think just because Joe Burrow has been playing out of his mind lately, and you saw that again this on Saturday against the Raiders. Yeah. You've seen that the final few weeks of the season. If the Titans get back Derrick Henry, that's a huge piece to get back, but they haven't had him for most of the second half of the season. Are they going to try to just force feed him the ball and try to work him back in? And is that going to throw them off for a quarter or so? If that's the case, and you give Cincinnati a chance to build a lead, then the Bengals have a chance.
Yeah, it just seems to me that it looks like I just think it's going to be 1-2 on both sides. It usually isn't that way. Usually somebody throws something in the mix, and probably if there's going to be that team, if the Bills don't pull off an incredible game in Kansas City, you're probably right. Cincinnati's got the best shot, I think, of beating one of those home teams.
Yeah, I have become a Bills fan over the last 2 years. Just a big Josh Allen fan. Yep. So I'll watch that, and I've kind of been a de facto Bills fan because I haven't cheered for anybody. I haven't rooted for anybody in the past 5 years. So I figured I might as well pick one at some point and ride with them. And he's just so much fun to watch for as big as he is. And as fast and athletic as he is, I think that game is going to be, I'm hoping for a shootout just because it's that Sunday night game, and it'd be great to end the weekend on that note. I see that being just a shootout. Now, you say you don't see the 49ers having any chance of going to Green Bay. We've seen it happen before. We've seen the 49ers when Colin Kaepernick went there and he beat them. You've seen what Jimmy Garoppolo win football. I mean, they showed the stat at the game yesterday that he has just won his entire career. The 49ers have been up and down, but that's because his health has been an issue.
He looked really poised yesterday for the majority of the game. There were a couple instances where it got a little goofy. To me, they let the Cowboys kind of back in the game. And the Cowboys, their faithful just got to be crushed I mean, they were starting to think, well, maybe this is the year. Dak's been tremendous. And then they start that game off the way they did yesterday. Got to be disappointing for Cowboy fans. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the way. I think, this will be the latest we've ever seen a Super Bowl in basically mid-February. So I hope that tonight's a good game. And, obviously St. Louis has got a lot of thoughts as it relates to two teams that played in our town facing each other in the NFL playoffs. So I'd like to see a good game tonight. I mean, because we weren't given that many good games over the weekend.
Before we get into tonight's game and some of the broadcasts that we watched, Frank Cusimano tweeted out this question yesterday on the eve of the Rams versus Cardinals playoff game. Would you trade the Rams Super Bowl win if the Big Red never left?
No, I don't think so.
None. No chance.
And you got to remember, I was a kid sitting there at Busch Stadium, and I was a cardiac Card, and I was a Hart and a Metcalf and Gray and Deerdorf and all that. I wouldn't trade that time, but the two Super Bowls, and you were you were starting your career at that point.
Oh, well, that was well before that.
No, that was before you weren't even around yet.
Wow. I was in 8th grade when they won the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I remember being at the Casino Queen, the AFC Championship game against Tampa Bay, and us having to go from the Casino Queen to the airport and then be on the air the next morning at the Atlanta at the convention center at Marriott. I mean, no, the experience that we had with the world's greatest show, despite what happened afterwards and before to a certain extent, that's something they'll never take away from any of us that watched it or were a part of it. It leaves a bad taste with some people now that what's happened and what occurred. But no, I mean, as much as I love the football Cardinals, you can't give away.
My thinking behind it is you look back at the last 30 years of what the Arizona Cardinals football team was, and you can count how many key moments they've had on less than a hand. I mean,
they had more key moments the last 20 years than they did when they were here, though.
But yeah, and none of those I remember or have any idea what those were.
Sure.
But
they were all disappointing.
Yeah, but the thing is that Warner, when Warner had that playoff run and took him to the Super Bowl, what's number 2 over the last 30 years for what they've done? And if that's what you're saying would be here, that's, I mean, almost as miserable as just having a team ripped away from you because of an owner.
Yeah, I mean, I think for football fans, in a sense, it worked out because there was never, Joe, any really hope at any beginning of the year. They always say in baseball, when the season starts, everybody's got a shot. You always felt like the Cardinals did not have a shot. There were too many good teams, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Redskins. I mean, we had some really good players and really good teams, but never could get over the hump to the elite level of the NFL, even though it was great. And I still say that the fan support was there, just as it was for the Rams until it was evident that they were leaving. What the Rams did and the fact that we got to taste not only what a Super Bowl championship was like, get back and unfortunately see what Super Bowl disappointment is like when we thought we had our second.
The broadcasts of the games this past weekend, they were all over the channels. But Jay, yesterday I was locked in for that 49ers Cowboys game, the broadcast on Nickelodeon. Did you flip
I did not Nickelodeon.
That?
I did not Nickelodeon, no.
Yeah, I got Hudson. So that was how I wrote
Who
Hudson
did the game on Nickelodeon?
It was Ian Eagle's son, I believe Noah Eagle,
Sure.
who sounds exactly like his dad.
How old?
Them, I look at the age. I think he's in his 20s.
Okay, so I mean, it wasn't a 9-year-old doing a game.
No, I don't.
Maybe it should be.
It says here. No, that's Ian Eagle. I'd have to look and see how old he is. It looks like he's 24 years old. 24.
Okay. Who'd they put with him?
Yeah. They put some singer, some Nickelodeon actress with them, and then Nate Burleson.
Who? Nate Burleson?
Nate Burleson. So you could tell. So first of all, I just got to say that if you're just watching, if you're a 50-year-old man watching this game by yourself, the Nickelodeon broadcast is not for you.
Right.
That is not what you should be tuning into.
You probably wondered, what am I watching?
Right. That's not what you want to that's not what you want to watch. For me, who has an 8-year-old at home, that was well worth it. I got him locked in because I was like, all right, hey, you know what? Sit down, 3:30. Let's check this out. First thing they show was SpongeBob and Patrick introducing you to the game. Boom, he's locked in.
Right.
He's like, oh, SpongeBob's going to be on this? Yeah, sure. He's going to be on the.
What did they do, Joe? What did they do, like graphic wise? Was it standard? Did they try and juice it up a little or make it
Whenever there were points scored or a touchdown scored, they had slime cannons come out from the field and slime the end zones. On the start of a drive, they had a giant slime monster come up from the field and kind of flex.
You look at what's going on in the world of television sports, and we're going to talk in a little bit about the documentary that's been announced, the documentary series with the PGA Tour, just like Netflix did with Formula One. We saw what ESPN tried and succeeded with the Manning boys. There's going to be more of these type of things. Baseball is the one that is really struggling with the young people, I think. They don't seem to have a connection. I don't know what they do. It seems like it's hard for youngsters to relate to the star power, if there is that much star power in Major League Baseball. But I think, Joe, seeing that type of thing with Nickelodeon, seeing the Manning thing, I think you'll see more of it with either celebrities or different people maybe involved in broadcast, because there's so many damn outlets now.
Yeah.
That it's, you might as well try and target somebody. It's like what you and Claibs are doing, or different people across the country, giving people another opportunity to get information or entertainment in a way that they used to not be able to do it.
Well, I mean, just so, for example, here, Jay, next week, the schedule is already out for next week. And in the press release that they send out, that the NFL sends out, next week you can watch the Bengals-Titans game on CBS or on Paramount Plus.
Right.
You can watch the game on Fox or Fox Deportes. You can watch the game on NBC or Peacock.
Yep.
And then again on CBS or CBS Plus. Like tonight, that game, the game tonight is going to be on ABC and ESPN. And they're doing a Manning cast on ESPN too.
I mean, there's three ways to watch the game.
Right. So, I mean, most people are going to say, oh, Monday Night Football. They're going to turn on ESPN. Other people that don't have cable somehow still in 2022, they have it on ABC. They can just, they can put their bunny ears up on the TV, put the foil on it, and they can watch it on ABC. Or I could tell you, I don't think I will watch the ESPN broadcast at all tonight. I will have the Manning cast on the entire game for tonight. Their guests for tonight, they're going to have Larry Fitzgerald on first, which is perfect with an Arizona Cardinal game. And then probably their biggest guest of the year, they got The Rock on for the second for their second guest.
Probably their biggest guest of the year.
I mean, it has to be, right? I mean, he's
a giant. I mean,
he is the biggest thing going right now as far as being in the spotlight.
No, I mean he's a giant, and again, some dad may say to his son, "Hey, let's watch The Rock on Manning," and they might not have never even watched football. Yeah. So it's fascinating to me to see now the ways the acceptance of gambling by these leagues. I mean, they clearly said we're going where the dough is. The PGA Tour is a great example of it. I mean, all of them now have sponsorships with either a sports book or a bet company or obviously a fantasy company. So it's this. You're everybody that's watching sports right now is watching part of a change in the way sports is delivered and covered.
That's you just got back from Vegas last week.
Yep.
You have when was the first time you went to Las Vegas?
I went for Dave Green's bachelor party, like 1996.
Okay, so sports betting from 1996 to 2022.
Yeah.
I know you said that your son spent a little time in the sports book.
Absolutely. He couldn't believe, he loved that you could make bets on individual matchups for the golf in the opening round on Thursday in Hawaii. And I'm like, go for it,
You can, the stuff you can bet, we were talking about this before we went on. When I was in college, so in Illinois, I can apparently bet on my phone here in Illinois.
Correct.
But I have to actually go to the casino, register, whatever, and do that. I am not enough of a gambler to do that, nor do I want that on my phone. If I am in a state where I can do it, I will do it. And when I was in Denver back in June, I'm sitting there with the NBA on the TV, and it's on my phone, and I'm thinking, okay, Lakers are going to hit a 3 this next trip down. And I'm able to bet $1 on if the Lakers are going to hit a 3 on their next trip down, and they don't. Immediately it says you lose $1. Okay, like that's 96. How. Right, 96. Like that's how intense and how up to it. So when you go and you're in Vegas now and you see these sports books, is that the most popular thing, or is it still the slots or the card tables?
Well, what's interesting about it is they all have an app now. So you don't necessarily have to walk up to the quote unquote cage and say, yeah, Jim, I'd like to put 100 on the Rams tonight. It is phone based, that app out there. And you see a lot of people going to the machines that look like ATMs printing out their tickets rather than, going up to the tellers. It seems like there's less people behind the counter and more people there watching. It's a production. And we got there the night of the national championship game right after it ended. And there was still a pretty good crowd of folks that had been in the Mirage Sportsbook. In 96, Joe, you had to call a guy named Rocco and say, Rocco, I want to put 100 on the game. And Rocco would say, okay, here's my deal. If you get down 500, I'll pay you. If you get up 500, I'll pay you the 10% VIG. But they didn't have a lot of junk. They might have had an over-under. And maybe for a big game like a Super Bowl, they'd have had quarter and half spreads. But now, you can bet on what type of shoes a guy's going to wear. It's almost too much. But for the guys that love it, they can go all day. It scares me because I grew up with a guy who liked to gamble. And I can't imagine him having the access that somebody has today instead of calling Rocco. Thank God he only had to call Rocco.
The third guest on the Manning cast tonight, by the way, is Russell Wilson. So they've only announced 3 guests
That's all they need
for the game tonight. I don't know. I would imagine the way they're pumping up the Rock's visit, I don't know how long that one's going to go, but
it wouldn't surprise me maybe if they threw in a player or two that advanced yesterday, maybe,
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah, but you know what though? I don't know if you've seen or not the Manning cast curse that has been out there. Every current player that has come on their show has lost the next week.
Well, then you may want to stay away until next year.
Yeah, so I think that's why they probably reached out to Josh Allen to ask him, and he probably not happening. Not
if you right now, Joe, if you had to tell me who's going to win the Super Bowl, who would you say?
It's a cop-out answer, but I'm going to say the winner of the Bills-Chiefs game next week.
Okay. All right. Winner of the Bills-Chiefs.
I think that is your AFC championship game next week, that the winner of that is in the Super Bowl, regardless of where they have to play the game the following week.
Okay.
Out of the NFC, God, I have been to 9 Super Bowls.
Yep.
I think there is only one that I've been to where neither Peyton Manning or Tom Brady was the quarterback of one of the teams.
Huh. That's unbelievable. Yeah, you've seen a lot of Brady action. There ain't no question about it.
Yeah, and I think that was the one in Miami that would have been the 49ers and Chiefs. I think that would have been the last. And I'm trying to think if there were any others that didn't have. It would have either been the
Who
Patriots.
was in New Orleans the year we went? It was the Patriots, wasn't it?
That was the Patriots and Giants, wasn't it?
Yep.
Or no, but I mean, it still would have been. No, I'm sorry. That was Ravens and 49ers. So there's two that I've been to. That was Raven. Yeah, that was Colin Kaepernick. That was the game where the lights went out during the game.
That's right. Yep. At the Super Bowl.
Two. Okay, so 2 of the 9 have not had Peyton or Tom Brady as a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you. I mean, you wonder. I mean, if Tampa's able to find their way to the Super Bowl, I mean, goodness gracious! I mean, it's just silly.
It is, and and you're asking Tom Brady to win next week against the winner of tonight's game, and then possibly having to go up to Green Bay, which he did last year with no problem. He went up there and he won last year, and it's not like he didn't spend the first 18 years of his career playing in cold in January anyway. So something like that shouldn't faze him one bit.
Shouldn't faze him. You wonder, though, about the rest of the crew practicing in Tampa than playing in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's a good point there. So yeah, one more game tonight. Rams Cardinals tonight. We'll go over all the picks and everything on Weekend Joe coming up on Friday, because right now we don't have the standings. Andy Hanselman was in the lead going in of
Emo 6. Very nice.
He was here were the standings. Oh, I already got rid of him. I was going to say he and I think Frank were tied for the lead. Claibs and I were in last. But it was like 2 games that separated us, so we're all neck and neck going into the postseason.
Again, I just hope it's a good game tonight. I'd like some excitement.
We'll take another break. When we come back, we will get set to wrap things up. A little Olympic news from today, and get Jay's thoughts on the new PGA show coming to Netflix right after this.
You know, the only thing faster than this supersonic golf cart are the closing times at thehomeloanexpert.com. Mortgage rates are in the 2s, and we have a 21-day closing guarantee. Apply online today at thehomeloanexpert.com.
This is Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Munganast St. Louis Acura, and sponsored by that man, Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. And hey, our friends over at Munganast. That's Munganast Alton Toyota. That's one of the cars that Claibs is driving down to Florida right now. He is driving down there in a Toyota Highlander. That's courtesy of folks at Munganast Alton Toyota.
He's reporting a little earlier than pitchers and catchers.
It just he's got to get acclimated so he can get in there and he can be ready to report once once the lockout ends and those players are that down there to report. So he's just getting settled in.
Sure, yeah. Just checking wine lists throughout South Florida.
He'll be back next week. I don't know. Last year he went down to spring training and he went clean shaven for the first week.
Okay.
If you remember that, Jay, you went to Vegas and you came back clean shaven. I think the people want to know what happened there.
I was scaring too many children. Too many children. Too many young kids running and hiding. No, I did it as kind of a gag because I knew the weather was going to be bad here. I wouldn't have to deal with people. And I just said, let's let the sucker go for a while. The Randolphs are not what you'd call a real good facial hair gene, but I let it get up to where you could at least tell it was something. And I was sitting in the afternoon wondering if I should go take a shower for the night. And I said, you know what? I'm going to shave this sucker. And you know what? Lo and behold, I hit a couple of slots after. So maybe it was the right play, and I didn't have to worry about getting picked up for scaring children.
This, it's not the fullest beard in the world that I have, but this never would have happened.
I mean, you are Triple H. You are Triple H.
If I didn't have to wear a mask for, several months and stay in my house in early 2020, I never would have even tried to do it. Now it's to the point where the second it gets shaved off, it's never going to come back again.
It won't. That'll be it.
It takes so long to get to this point, Jay, that I need to wear a mask for 6 weeks to cover it up, and people don't need to see me for a while. Like it looked terrible for the first few weeks. It doesn't look great
pretty
now.
good now. You got it full blown. I'm sure you got the pony going, right?
Yeah, it's back there.
There you go. I mean, you're Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I mean, it's like Halloween every day.
Hey, the Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee, announced earlier today they are not going to be selling any tickets for the Beijing Olympics coming up in a few weeks. So just like Tokyo last year, they once again will be no fans allowed at the games.
That's okay, because nobody's going to be watching anyway. I mean, why? I'm afraid what we've seen because of the COVID situation the last couple of years with the Olympic Games, the Olympics just aren't what they were. It may be because there's so much out there and so much sports and so many movies and this streaming service. It's not must-see TV, as our buddy Frank Cusimano would say. I mean, when you had 5 channels and all of a sudden you got these great skaters on, or bobsledders, which we never saw, or it's all changed. I'll watch, I guess, some of it. I have zero interest in the Winter Games, whereas I used to care. And I mean, I think it's a bad move they're having it, to be honest with you. They can't make any money off it if nobody's going to be there.
And the big thing that has changed over the last years is just how the local NBC affiliate, or I guess the national NBC affiliate, how they bring it to you in primetime, right, whenever they do the primetime. And, Frank and Rennie are going to get ratings. They're still going to get their ratings each and every night during the 2+ weeks. But for people that just want to see actual competition, they're going to be watching, whether it's on Peacock or any of the other stations that's on, they're going to be watching that throughout the day when it's live.
Yep.
Instead of tuning. And the other thing with that too, when it's on the other side of the world and you can't have those events live at night, everybody has a phone in their hand. What?
Yeah, it didn't matter in 1980. I mean, if you were in West Germany, it didn't matter whether it was live or not, because it wasn't like you were finding out on your phone or finding out in the newspaper. I mean, the immediacy now of information has totally changed it. I mean, half the stuff we used to watch was on tape, but we didn't care because we didn't know who won. We were still looking. They'd say, coming up, we'll find out this, we'll find out that. It's just changed the people that want to watch it, or if you want to watch a specific event, like, some people get geeked up about the curling. I mean, you'll be able to watch all you want. You'll be able to watch curling smothered in curling, whereas before, you might have gotten a 2-minute package on the curling during the Olympic broadcast. It's just totally changed. I mean, all the outlets, Peacock, USA, this place, that place, NBCSN. I mean, it's just crazy.
And you'll be able to watch the curling live somewhere.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to the games?
I will have it on during the day.
Yeah,
if I'm sitting around here during the day, if I could just click and turn on Peacock and have something that I want to see on, then I'll do it. Any of the like speed skating stuff like that, I'll watch those.
I mean, I don't even know who's up for a medal for USA. I mean,
I couldn't tell you any of the names, but I don't think I could have told you. I mean, outside of Simone Biles, I don't know what
at the summer
games I knew of people. I didn't know who was on the basketball team at the summer games.
Yeah, it's all changed. I mean, I can remember how big I was 15, the 84 Olympics in LA were. I mean, it's just a different, the Olympics has lost a little of its luster. The professional side that entered, it's not the same feeling. And maybe it is for young kids. Maybe I was 15, like I said, in 84, and into the games, and Carl Lewis and this and that, and the gymnastics team and Bart Connor. And it just to me, it's lost its luster.
We will end with this, Jay. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up any golf talk with you. It was just announced last week that Netflix has a series coming up inside the PGA Tour, where they are going to just be immersive in their coverage of PGA, the life of a PGA golfer. What are your expectations for this show?
I hope it's really good. I've heard a lot of good things about what they did with Formula One. They're basically taking golf's biggest championships, the Players, then the 4 majors, and then the FedEx Cup, and they're chronicling about 20 guys. Probably in the end, they'll get you down to 6 or 7 that are the main guys, kind of like they do with the Hard Knocks when they follow a certain couple of guys. I think it'll be great. It just shows you again the tour looking for another avenue to promote the game. There's going to be somebody that catches it on Netflix and just goes, I didn't know that about Colin Morikawa, or I want to see Dustin and Paulina, or what a guy goes through to prepare for a major championship. I don't know that it'll be a home run, but I think it's another facet. I mean, we talked earlier about Major League Baseball and their problems attracting new fans and younger fans. I mean, the tour lost its biggest star, if you will, or their 2 biggest stars in a sense, in Mickelson and Tiger, even though Phil won a major last year. To see all these tremendous young players, Joe, that have, some personality, a little cachet, I think it's going to be really good for the PGA Tour. I know golf fans are going to really enjoy it. The question will be whether it's able to, draw some people. But at least, Netflix. I mean, once in a while you'll go through and go, what the hell's that? And then all of a sudden you're watching, the Tiger King. Maybe Bubba Watson will draw some people. They got a lot of characters that they're going to chronicle, and a lot of the great players they're going to chronicle.
Do you see there being any added drama to this? We've seen Brooks Koepka and who is it? Bryson.
Yeah.
We've seen that in social media and a little bit on the tour. Do you see any added drama being forced into this with it being a TV show?
Well, I hope that they really give you a sense of what tour life is like. He's showing guys on the range, maybe some jaw jacking, maybe some practice rounds where guys are putting a couple of shekels on the round and at the end having to pay up a little bit. I think it'll depend on how the personalities come across. A lot of people in the golf world did not like the Bryson Brooks thing. Frankly, I thought it was great because it attracted people. People paid attention. They took a side. Are you a Brooks guy or are you a Bryson guy? I understand that, it's not the typical way golf has been discussed or in a sense promoted. But now with the internet and the Twitter and all that stuff, I mean, it got people going. You don't want it to get too serious where guys are fighting on the range. I mean, where guys are coming to blows. But I don't mind the jaw jacking, and I think that's good for the game a little bit.
Let me ask you this before we're talking golf. Tiger, we saw the injury last year. We saw him play with his son. Yeah. When is he going to play in a major next?
I mean, I'd love to say the Masters. But I don't know that the knees.
2022 Masters or 2023 Masters?
Well, no, I'd say, the 2022 Masters. It's all going to depend. He clearly showed at the father-son deal that he's going to play again. It's going to happen. I mean,
which anybody that ever doubted that was going to happen is a fool.
Well, and there was legitimate reason to doubt it. I mean, when these things start to stack up, you wonder to yourself, why would a guy want to work this hard when he could sit on his ass and order pina coladas at his house and just watch the water? I mean, this guy, as I've told people, he won't come back just to come back. That's not him. I mean, if he doesn't think he's capable of putting a peg in the ground and hoisting a trophy, he won't mess with it real long. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a Champions Tour player. I mean, maybe he'll play a couple of Champions Majors. I think the problem is the legs. I'd love to see him at the U.S. Open and clearly the Open Championship at St. Andrews with the history there and his history there. He's coming back. How long the comeback will be dictated about how good he is. Can he compete? Because he's not going to just go out and shoot 74 and show up the next week. I mean, that's not him.
I think when seeing Phil win a major last year is some motivation for him, knowing, okay, that's the oldest that's ever won. All right, I can do that. I can do that at 52.
Yeah, I kicked Phil's ass all over the joint for 15 years. Give me a little time to get healthy. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see if he were to win again, whether it be at Bay Hill or Augusta. It would be epic. And the whole judging by a lot of the golf community of 18 majors being the must. If he doesn't tie Jack's record or beat Jack's record, then you can't say he's the best of all time. That's horse manure. The way I like to describe it is the King Arnold Palmer was the greatest personality the game has ever seen and did so much for the game along with President Eisenhower in the 50s and changed things. And then Jack came along, and Jack's the greatest winner of all time as it relates to the majors. And in a sense, overall, even though, it's Snead and Tiger with the most PGA Tour victories at 84. Nobody, and I mean nobody, ever played golf like Tiger Woods. Nobody. And I'm not sure during my lifetime I'll see anybody that played golf like Tiger Woods.
Jay, thank you so much for stepping in for Claibs today.
Those are big shoes to fill.
Down at Sullivan. I know the best rates are always online. How can people find those?
Just go to sullivan-golf.com. We've got a package on our website for folks that live 35 miles away. I wanted to get people down here, so we did a deal, Joe, $59.99 for 4 rounds, includes your cart. There's no extra fees, nothing. It can be used any day, anytime. That means a beautiful Sunday or Saturday morning in January, you can play for basically 15 bones on a Saturday morning. And the real reason it's not because the golf course isn't a $25, $30 golf course on the weekend. I want to get people here because what I've seen is once they come to Sully and play the golf course and we treat them right, they come back.
Well, Jay, thank you so much. Fairways and Greens coming back in the spring, and we will put those videos up here on Claibs Online as well. He's Jay Randolph Jr. I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Munganast St. Louis Acura, and sponsored by the home loan expert Ryan Kelly here on ClaibsOnline.com.
St. Louis Acura was the #1 Acura dealer in Missouri in 2021, and we were the 17th in the nation for Acura sales volume. We sell over 100 pre-owned vehicles monthly, and we service all of the makes and models that we sell. We are waiting for verification of our 30th Acura Precision Team Award, the only dealer in the nation with so many awards for customer satisfaction and dealership performance. We have 300 pre-owned vehicles in stock right now. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.